Well, hey friends, it's me, Pastor Doug, with another word of encouragement for the day for today, Wednesday, May 25th. Over the past few weeks, we've been exploring a familiar passage of Scripture, typically referred to as the Sermon on the Mount. This is a section of Scripture that contains some of Jesus' most provocative and challenging teachings, including something that he says in Matthew chapter 5 when he warns his followers to be on guard against what they look at, what they stare at. In fact, he exaggerates and says, listen, if your right eye is causing you to sin, pluck it out and get rid of it if it's actually leading you to sin, because Jesus knows that what we look at often leads to decisions and actions. And so Jesus says, well, back up from the action and think about what you're looking at, because what you're looking at ultimately turns into intent, and intent leads to decisions, and decisions lead to actions. And so we need to be on guard against what we're looking at. Friends, there's a story in the book of Judges, chapter 14, that we see another example of something I talked about on Monday. On Monday, we talked about Adam and Eve and how they saw the fruit that was off limits, and they took it, right? They saw and they took. And in Judges chapter 14, verses 1 and 2, we see another example of someone who saw and took. Let me read it to you. This is about a guy named Samson. And if you're like me, when I was a kid, I thought Samson was a good guy. I thought he was a hero. It turns out that Samson was not a good guy. He was very much a flawed man. And we see a little glimpse of this in Judges chapter 14. It says, Samson went down to Timnah, and there he saw a young Philistine woman. He saw her. When he returned, he said to his father and mother, I have seen a Philistine woman in Timnah. Now go and get her for me as my wife. Another example of seeing something and then taking it, right? This time he uses kind of the cultural structures of the day and uses his mom and dad to go and work out a deal with that woman's mom and dad to, pay a dowry or whatever so that he can take her as his wife. But once again, we see another example of someone seeing something and taking it. And this time, it's not a piece of fruit, it's a human being. And friends, how many times have we seen this throughout the course of human history where a man sees a woman and takes her against her will and causes uncalculable damage and destruction? And that's exactly what ends up happening in the life of Samson. Samson repeats this pattern repeatedly throughout his life of seeing a woman that he wants and taking her for himself and causing ultimate destruction and damage, not just to the woman and her family, but lots and lots of other people because of the decisions that he made. And friends, it all started with a look. It all started with a glance that turned into a stare, and the stare turned into intent, and the intent turned into decision, and that decision led to a set of actions. And so we have to be on guard against what we're looking at, what we're thinking about, what we're rehearsing over and over in our minds of what it would be like if we had that life, or what it would be like if we were with that person, right? It's damaging and destructive, and it leads to actions that are incredibly damaging and destructive. And that's what Jesus is warning us against, because he loves us and he has our best interests in mind. Friends, I hope this encourages you today. We'll see you tomorrow.